In this lecture, I will cover pi model representations of long line. So far, for characteristics and performance analysis of short transmission line and medium transmission line, we have used lumped parameter representations for establishing the relation between their sending end quantities and receiving end quantities. For medium transmission line, we have used end condenser model or pi model or a T model. In those models, the series impedances and shunt admittance are considered as lumped parameters. But these models are only useful for studying and analyzing the steady-state response of the line, which means that these models will not be useful to get voltage and current values with respect to time. In cases where we are interested in transient analysis means when we are interested to analyze the response with respect to time, models using these lumped parameters are not useful. Why they are not useful? Because in actual practical power system, the line parameters are usually not lumped. These line parameters are actually not lumped, rather they are non-uniformly distributed over the entire length of line. For transient analysis, it is very important to consider shunt capacitance and series inductance to be distributed, and hence their effect must be considered. To explain this concept, let us consider the simple figure. In this figure you can see here that L1, L2, L3, C1, C2, C3. So this L1 and C1 is inductance and capacitance of the section 1 of the line. So let us say the line is 500 km long. This 500 km long line, you know that there is not a single conductor from sending end to the receiving end. We cannot make these 500 km long conductors. So the conductors are generally made with certain unit length. Say for example, we manufacture or we make the conductors of the length 100 meters, say for example. Then for this 500 km long line, we need to create 5000 sections. Each section is 100 meters. So for this 500 km line, we need 5000 sections. So this L1 and C1 represents the inductance and capacitance of the first sections of 100 meter length. Similarly, L2 and C2 is the inductance and capacitance of the second section, and so on. Right? So you understand what this is the structure of the transmission line. Now, this transmission line is assumed to be lossless transmission line. What is the meaning of lossless? The meaning of the lossless transmission line is we neglect the resistance and conductance. When the resistance and conductance are ignored, the I square R losses, that when the resistance is ignored, the I square R losses will be ignored. That's why we consider that the line can be assumed as a lossless line. This L and C be the inductance and capacitance per unit length of the line, and they are distributed throughout the line as shown above. That I already discussed this, that L and C is the inductance and capacitance of this one unit of one inductance and capacitance of one section. Now let us understand this. The switch S is closed at time t is equal to 0 second. What is the meaning of this? The switch S is closed at time t is equal to 0 second means the line is energized at time t is equal to 0 second. When the switch is closed, when this switch S is closed, the line is energized. That means the sending end of the transmission line is connected with some generating voltage, some voltage. Let us say the voltage at the sending end is represented by Vst is equal to Vm sin omega t plus pi. Vm is the peak magnitude of this voltage, and omega t, that means 2 pi ft, that frequency f is the frequency, and pi is determines the value of the voltage at the time of switching. Now, have you ever thought that how much time will this voltage take to reach to receiving end? The question is, when I energize the line at sending end at time t is equal to 0, then how much time it will take to reach up to the receiving end? Will it reach instantaneously from sending end to receiving end? The obvious answer is no, that voltage cannot reach to the receiving end at t is equal to 0 second. Definitely there must be some finite time. This sending end voltage will take some finite time to travel the distance from sending end to the receiving end. So we are interested to know that how the voltage from the sending end travels up to the receiving end. Now, to understand this traveling of the voltage and current wave from sending end to the receiving end, you need to recall the concepts of the network theory. In network theory, we have studied that as soon as the switch S is closed, the inductance L1 acts as an open circuit and capacitance C1 acts as a short circuit. And the inductor at t is equal to infinite act as a short circuit, whereas the capacitance at t is equal to infinite act as a open circuit. These are the two states that we have calculated many examples on this topic. So therefore, what will happen here? Therefore, when I close the switch, when I close this switch here, this L1 will act as open circuit first, and this C1 act as a short circuit. So at time t is equal to 0 plus, what will happen? The current starts building up. The current starts building up across this L1, because it will try to change its states from open circuit to short circuit. That means the current will continue to increase in this L1, and this C1 will change its states from short circuit to open circuit. That means this capacitor C1 starts taking current at t is equal to 0 plus moment, and voltage across this capacitor 1 starts building. So the two phenomena takes place. Here at t is equal to 0 plus moment, the L1 continues to conduct the current, and this C1 starts building up the voltage across it. So once this capacitor C1 is fully charged, it will act as an open circuit, but it will have a complete voltage drop across that C1. That complete voltage builds up across this C1. So now what will happen? This L2 initially, when this voltage, when C1 is completely charged, then this voltage will appear across this L2. Initially L2 acts as an open circuit, but slowly, gradually, it starts conducting current, and voltage across the C2 starts building up. So after certain time, the C2 is fully charged, it becomes open circuited, and this voltage across C2 will be appear across this L3. L3 continues to conduct current, and voltage across this C3 starts building up. So on, all the sections, the 5000 sections of this line will charge with the time. Understand here. So when I close the switch at t is equal to 0 second, the first sections will require certain time to charge. Second section also required to charge. Similarly, third sections will require to charge. So definitely, to reach up to the receiving end, some finite time will be involved for this voltage to reach from sending end to the receiving end. So this is the concept of the voltage traveling from sending end to receiving end. Let us understand this voltage and current wave in different way by taking one analogy. Replace the switch S by the water valve and each sections of the inductor and capacitors by the water tank as shown below. I am considering one simple analogy to explain this concept in a better way. So this is my one water tap or water valve. There are the three water tanks, the tank A, tank B and tank C. Now this replace the switch S by the water valve. So what we are taking here, when I open this water valve, which is similar to the closing of the switch, when the water valve is in off position, that means the switch is open. When I open the water valve, that means the switch is closed. Similarly, each section of the inductor and capacitor is represented by the water tank. Now this inductor the flow of water is considered a current through the inductor. Flow of water is considered as a current through the inductor. So you know that as soon as at starting point, this tank A is completely empty. Now when I open this valve, the current starts flowing. This is the exactly situations when I open this valve. Some time is required for the water to drop from this point up to the bottom level of the tank. So this much of the time is required for the inductor to change its positions from open circuit to somewhat the closed circuit. As this water continues to flow, the water level inside this water tank A continuously increasing. So the flow of the current through the inductor will be maintained. So with this maintaining the water flow or current through the inductor, I am repeating, by maintaining this water flow, what will happen? If I maintain the water flow, the water level in a tank A will increase. So flow of the current is considered as a flow of current through the inductor, whereas the rising level of the water in a tank is considered as gradual voltage buildup across capacitance. I am repeating the thing, the flow of the water is considered as the current through the inductor, and rising level of the rising water level in the tank is considered as gradual increase in voltage across this capacitor. Now here, once this water level reaches to these interconnections between A and B, then what will happen? This water will flow in a tank B. It means that this capacitor is fully charged because it reaches to this level, water reaches to this level of the interconnection. That means capacitor is fully charged. So additional water flows into B. That means once this capacitor is fully charged, it continues to supply current through the another section. It continues to supply current to inductance of another section. So in tank B, initially the tank B is water level in tank B is 0. That means that this inductor is not carrying any current, but as soon as this injects the current, this tank A injects the water into the tank B, the water level starts increasing. The same situation, this capacitor continues to push the current through this inductor, and this water level of the tank B rises. That means voltage across this capacitance also starts building up. So on, once this capacitor of the section 2 is fully charged, the water flows into the next tank and so on. So you can understand from this figure, as soon as the t is equal to 0 second, when you open this valve, this tank C cannot be filled up instantaneously. It will require certain time for filling up. So this is the same situations When I close the switch, at the sending end, the voltage cannot reach at the end of the 500-kilometer line instantaneously, and it takes some time, and this time is determined by charging and discharging constants of the inductance and capacitance of all the sections. I hope that you understood the phenomena of the traveling wave on this transmission line by this simple analogy. In this section, our objective is to find out the expressions for voltage and current at any point on the line. Then based on these equations, an equivalent pi model for the long transmission line will be obtained. You try to understand the difference between the analysis of the long line and analysis of the medium transmission line. In case of the medium transmission line, we were interested only to relate the sending end voltage with receiving end voltage and receiving end current. That means Vs is equal to A into Vr plus B into IR. But in the case of the long transmission line, as the voltage travels from sending end to the receiving end through all these 5000 sections, so at the end of each section there will be the different voltage magnitudes. So I want to know that what is the voltage at the 100 kilometer from the sending end. That means what is the value of the voltage at the end of 1000 section, that is 100 kilometer of the line, and I want to know that voltage value. That means I want to know that the voltage and current value at each and every section of the transmission line, at each and every sections of the long transmission line. So that equations we are trying to build up. So this is the difference between the long line analysis and a medium line analysis. I hope that you have understood our next objective for the discussions. So to achieve that, let us consider this simple figure. In this simple figure, understanding of this figure is very much important. The series impedance per unit length is shown by the lowercase letter z. So this is my z, this is my z, this is my z, and shunt admittance per phase is shown by the lowercase letter y. So where is my shunt admittance? That shunt admittance, this is my lowercase letter y, shunt admittance. Consider a small segment of line delta x at a distance x from the receiving end of the line. Consider a small segment of a line, that small segment of the line is delta x, at a distance x from the receiving end of the line. So this is my receiving end, and from this receiving end at a distance x, I am considering a small segment delta x. So x is counted from receiving end side. At a distance x, we have considered a one line segment, small segment delta x. So this z is series impedance, and when I multiply this series impedance by delta x, that z into delta x indicates the series impedance of that very small segment. So try to understand this one, right? So try to identify all these notations in this figure. So V are receiving end voltage, I are receiving end current. This VR and IR are the terminal condition at the receiving end. Now what is this Vx? Vx is the voltage. Vx is the voltage at point X. Vx is the voltage at point X, and this X is measured from this receiving end. What is this Ix? Ix is nothing but the current flowing through the series impedance of this section delta X. Ix is the current flowing through the section Z into delta X. What is Y into delta X? That is a Y into delta X is shunt admittance of this section delta X. Similarly, this Y into delta X is also the shunt admittance of this section delta X. In pi representations, the shunt admittance of this delta X section is divided into two parts, and it is represented in this way. Or you can see that this is Y into delta X, that Y into delta X is a shunt admittance at a distance X, and this Y into delta X is a shunt admittance at a distance of X plus delta X. This Y delta X is a shunt admittance at a distance X, whereas this Y into delta X is shunt admittance at a distance of X plus delta X. Hence, at this point, the voltage available across this is Vx plus delta X, whereas the voltage available across this is Vx. This current Ix plus delta X is having two parts. The one part is Ix and another part is this. So before going into the analysis, you try to understand the representations used in this figure. The same figure I am repeating here, and from this same figure you can now write the expressions. The first expression, this is my first expression. This first expression has been written based on this loop analysis. The first expression is nothing but voltage V available at a distance X plus delta X. You try to understand the meaning of this term. This term means that voltage available at a distance X plus delta X from the receiving end. That means this is my voltage. Available at a distance of X plus delta X from the receiving end. So this is nothing but, this voltage is nothing but, this is my one simple loop, in that this voltage is nothing but the summation of this voltage available at distance X plus voltage drop across this series impedance. So I am writing this expression Vx plus Z into delta X is the impedance of this section delta X, segment delta X, and Ix is current flowing through that segment. So I can write the expressions of Vx plus delta X in this way. Just rearrange these equations and I will get these expressions. Now using these limit terms, if this delta X, this segment, I consider that segment is very small, that delta X tends to 0. That means this segment is very small. If this segment is very small, then I can write this, I can convert this equation in the derivative terms. dVx dx is equal to Z into Ix. Same way, I am writing the expressions of the current. You can see that this is my current for the segment X plus delta X, and this X plus delta X is nothing but the summation of the two currents. The first current is Ix and second current is the first current, this is Ix current. You know that this is Ix current, and another current, this is my another current, and that current is nothing but Y into V. So Y into V, that Y is equal to Y into delta X, and voltage available across that element is Vx plus delta X. In this way, the current at this point has been shown. There are two parts, this one part and second part. right? Rearrange these expressions, I will get these expressions. From these expressions, again, if delta x, I have considered delta x is very small, so based on that, these expressions can be written in this way. Look at this change, here is x plus delta x, and here I am putting this Vx only. Because delta x is considered to be very small, so voltage available at distance x and voltage available at distance Vx plus delta x are approximately same. These two voltages, these two voltages are approximately same. That's why I am writing these expressions. Now recalling these same expressions, I have rewritten this expression 1 and 2, which derived on previous slide. Just I have rewritten those equations. From these equations, take the second differentiations. You will get d square Vx upon dx square is equal to z dix upon dx. Put this value of, you can carry this value of dix upon dx from this, so I can put the value here. Similarly, take the second differentiations of this equation, you will get this. For putting this value of dvx upon dx, you can call it from here, put the value zix, so you will get this. Now it's time to define one more constant. There is one more constant, that constant gamma. That constant gamma is called a propagation constant. And propagation constant gamma is given by alpha plus j beta is equal to under root zy. Now this z is nothing but r plus j omega l and y is g plus j omega c. So you need to remember these expressions of propagation constant gamma for the calculations of the examples also. In that propagation constant gamma, alpha is attenuation constant and beta is a phase constant, and this phase constant is measured in radian per unit length of the line. So after introducing this propagation constant, I am rewriting this expression d square Vx upon dx square. Just simply this zy is replaced by gamma square. Zy is replaced by gamma square. I am rearranging this expression, so it is a second order differential equations, and the general solutions for the second order differential equation can be obtained in this way, that Vx is equal to a1 e raised to gamma x plus a2 into e raised to minus gamma x. Now what is this x? That x is the distance from the receiving end. Suppose this is 500 kilometer line, and if I put x is equal to 100, that means I am measuring the 100 kilometer from the receiving end. So I am measuring the voltage at a point of 100 kilometer from the receiving end. So V100 means I am measuring the voltage at 400 kilometer from the sending end and 100 kilometer from the receiving end. I can get the value of the voltage at 100 kilometer only if I know the value of A1 and A2. Because this gamma is nothing but the z and y. You know that what is the value of z, what is the value of y. You can calculate the gamma. X you are putting 100, but you do not know that what is the value of A1 and A2. So you need to evaluate the value of A1 and A2, then and then you can solve this expression. Now two unknowns cannot be found with the use of only one equation. So you need another equations to get the values of unknowns A1 and A2. Let us see that how can I find the value of A1 and A2. So I need to introduce one more equation in terms of the A1 and A2. So recall, this is my original equation. I am recalling that equations. dvx upon dx is equal to zix, and we arrived at these equations. So dvx upon dx, you can evaluate it, and this dvx upon dx value you can put in this, so you will get the expressions of the current at a distance x by using by rearranging these equations, put the value dVx upon dx from here, so that you can obtain the current expressions. You can obtain a current expression in terms of this, in terms of A1 and A2. Here now time to introduce one more constant. That one more constant is known as characteristic impedance. That characteristic impedance ZC is given by under root Z by Y. So expression of Ix is now changed to this form, that because here this is under root Y by Z and ZC is equal to under root Z by Y. So this is 1 upon ZC. So we have obtained one more equation of the current. I have obtained equations of the current is I at a distance x. Now I have one equation 1 and I have equation number 2. Now if I want to evaluate this, so these two equations will be evaluated with certain boundary conditions. To identify those boundary conditions, these boundary conditions can be possible in two ways. One conditions may be at the receiving end and another may be at the sending end. If I consider the boundary condition or terminal conditions at the receiving end, that means I need to put x is equal to 0. X is equal to 0 means it is a receiving end. And at receiving end, you know that at receiving end, the voltage at the receiving end is VR and current is IR. So in this expression, in these expressions of the Vx and in the expressions of the Ix, I am putting the x is equal to 0. I am putting the x is equal to 0. When I put x is equal to 0, after putting the value, after taking the value at x is equal to 0, voltage at the x is equal to 0 is nothing but the receiving end voltage VR, and current at x is equal to 0 is IR. So this Vx is replaced by VR and Ix is replaced by IR. Put x is equal to 0, that means this term will become 1, this term will also become 1. So it is A1 plus A2 and this one will become 1 upon ZC A1 minus A2. Solve this 1 and 2 at x is equal to 0, you will get A1 value and you will get A2 value at terminal conditions of x is equal to 0. Put this value of A1 and A2 in this my equation 1 and equation number 2. I will get the expressions of the voltage and expressions of the current at a distance x from the receiving end. I am rewriting these expressions. This expression is rearranged, and after expanding these expressions, I am grouping the terms related to the VR and terms related to the IR, and I will apply these hyperbolic relations, and for this I will get the expressions of the Vx. I will get the expressions of the Vx in hyperbolic terms. Similarly, Ix can also be found out in hyperbolic equations. So this is my objective, to get this hyperbolic voltage and hyperbolic functions of the voltage and hyperbolic functions of the. The key points of this lecture is to get this expression Vx and this expression Ix. So based on, you can put any value of this x, you can put any value of the x in these two expressions and you will be able to get the voltage and current at that point on a line, So that was our objective. From this you can understand that as the x is changed, the voltage values are changed, the current values are changed. Hence, for this entire line, the voltage values are not constant. As we progress from sending end to receiving end, the voltage value gradually drops. That you need to understand here. Similarly, if you approaching from receiving end to the sending end, the voltage value continuously increasing. And this is the obvious thing, that you know that the voltage at the sending end is higher and voltage at the receiving end is lower. So in case of the medium line, you simply obtain Vs and Vr, but in long line what we are obtaining? We are obtaining the voltage gradual changes. We are obtaining the gradual changes of the voltage and current along the line. Gradual changes in voltage and current along the line. That was the outcome of this lecture that you need to understand. I hope that you have understood the concept, and if any doubt, then you can write to me. You can send me the email for the query on the confusion or any discussion on this point. Thank you. For representing the long line in form of the pi, we need to recall the pi model representations of the medium line. So in this slide, I have given this medium to pi model of the medium line, and as well as the sending end quantities relation with receiving end quantities through the ABCD parameters. So in medium line, think about these B parameters. Think about these B parameters. B parameters of the medium line. B parameter of the medium line is equal to Z. And in case of medium transmission line, this Z is series impedance. Z is series impedance of the line. So I want to create the pi model representations of the long line. Hence, I will compare this B parameter of the medium line with B parameter of the long line. I will compare the B parameter of the medium line with B parameter of the long line. So Z is equal to ZC sin H omega L. In pi model representation, Z is a series term. So for representing a long transmission line in pi model, the series part of the long line is not simply the R plus J omega L, but the series part of the long transmission line will be represented by ZC sin H omega L. So this is a big difference between medium line and long line representations. Again, I am repeating, if it is a question of pi model representations of medium line, then this series part is simply calculated with the use of Z is equal to R plus JXL. But the series part of the long line is obtained with ZC into sin H omega L expression. Similarly, the second challenge is to represent this Y by 2 part of the long line. Y by 2 part of the medium transmission line is simply calculated by J 2 pi Fc by 2. But in this case, for the long line, it will be represented in somewhat other way. So you need to find out that how this shunt part for the long line can be converted. For that, you need to consider this is my A term of the medium line. A term of the medium line, this is my A term of the long line. Compare these two terms. In that, you know that Z is equal to ZC sin H omega L. Put the value of Z is equal to ZC sin H omega L in these expressions and try to get Y by 2. So for long transmission line, the Y by 2 is nothing but this Y by 2 is nothing but 1 upon ZC tan H omega gamma L upon 2. Hence, the shunt part in pi representations of the long transmission line, this Y by 2 is shunt part. This Y by 2 is a shunt part. So Y by 2 of the long transmission line, it is not simply J 2 pi Fc by 2, but it will be 1 upon Zc tan H omega L by 2. So This is the difference in pi model of the medium line and pi model of the long line. This is only the change is, in this case, series impedance is simply calculated by R plus j omega L. Shunt admittance is simply calculated by j into 2 pi fc by 2, whereas for the long line the series part is calculated with this expression and shunt part is calculated with this expression. This is only the change of this is only the change in pi model representations of long line as compared to the medium transmission line. I hope that you have understood up to this point, and these equations will be useful for the numerical solutions on the medium line as well as on a long line model. In the next part of the lecture, I will explain you the time domain representations of voltage and current across at time domain representations of the voltage and current at any point of the line. So the key points of this lecture